I am Bridget Lake, president of the Oviedo Winter Springs Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we are here with Bob Cortes, running for Florida House of Representatives, District 30. He is one of our candidates at the Eastside Regional Hob Nob. Our premier virtual Eastside Regional Hob Nob is presented by Lucas Land Group, an Oviedo-based family-run business with interests throughout Central Florida. Our sponsors, Duke Energy, UCF, our radio sponsor, 96.5 WDBO, and our website sponsor, Palm Tree Tech Center. Now, before we get into our discussion, let's watch a few quick commercials from our sponsors, Duke Energy and UCF.
I know what I want from my energy company. I want to know that my power is always on and that my family's energy is cleaner and safer. That's why, as a Duke Energy lineman, I'm working hard to make that possible. I absolutely feel honored to make a difference in our community. It's a good feeling knowing that I'm helping to build a smarter, reliable energy future for all of us, for my family and yours.
At UCF, success continues, innovating for 20 years in the lab, classroom, and online, with faculty, researchers, and scientists delivering better than ever results. Ranked among the top 20 most innovative universities in the nation, with 22 awards of excellence in online teaching from the Online Learning Consortium, your path to a degree is clearest where learning charges on.
And now we are back with Bob Cortes, one of our candidates at the Eastside Regional Hob Nob. How are you doing today, Bob?
I'm doing very well, Bridget. Thanks for having me here today.
Thank you for joining us. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. You know, I'm grew up, born in New York, raised in Puerto Rico, Puerto Rican parents, been in this community since 1989, married to a lovely, wonderful woman for the past 36 years, blessed with having 4 children and 5 grandchildren. And I'm a businessman. I'm a small businessman that established his roots here in Central Florida. Back in 1989, starting my towing business here in Altamont Springs. That towing business having it grown. And then in 2015, decided that we had done enough, we'd done well, and we sold it. We started another business in 2011, which is a shuttle business, moving passengers from the airport to the cruise terminals, and always been in business with my brother, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I've been blessed, like I said, to be with a great, wonderful family. We had our ups and downs where our firstborn that brought us to the United States was born with cerebral palsy, and then he eventually passed away at the age of 5. It made our family stronger, yet, you know, nevertheless, every year it was always harder to deal with the loss of a child, especially your loved one. We did our community things. We got involved with the Wrecker Association. I got involved with the Homeowner Association. In 2009, decided to run for city commissioner for the great city of Longwood, and got elected by 61% of the votes on the first time. Served in the Longwood City Commission, had the honor to become the first Hispanic mayor in Seminole County's history. And we, from there, continued, ran for the State House in 2014, won in that term, subsequently won the 16, and then in 18, unfortunately, we did not win that election cycle. But you know what happens? Things like that make us stronger, makes us appreciate the things in wonderful life. You know, I love my community. I love Seminole County. I love Orange County. I love Central Florida as a whole. And like I said, anything that we can do to make it better, definitely, that's what I'm here for.
Now, you've spoken to our chamber quite a few times, and you've spoken about your family and how important that they are to you. I understand that your son currently serves in the Navy. Can you share with us a little bit more about your family?
Absolutely. I'm very proud of my family and what they've achieved. So like I said, we moved here in 1989, and the first thing that we went through was the loss of Robert Jr., who passed away in 1990 suddenly. But then we went to raise our other children here in Central Florida, and they were product of Seminole County schools. You know, my daughter, my son went through Longwood Elementary, went to middle school, and then graduated from Lake Mary High School, They eventually went to USF, my daughter and my son, and then my son graduates from UCF with a criminal justice degree and decides to go into the Navy. Currently, he's serving in Virginia in the Navy as a NCIS special agent, which we're very proud of him and what he does over there. My daughter went on to, she married a, back then was a captain in the U.S. Air Force. She went and graduated from Oklahoma University. Anybody hears her, she always say, Boomer Sooner. She's a Sooner all the way. And then now my son-in-law, Jonathan, has been promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, and his next mission is going to be in Yokota Air Force Base in Japan. They're actually leaving July 11th for a 3-year tour in Japan. So I'm very proud of what they've achieved, how they've achieved it, the wonderful grandchildren that they have given me. And, you know, I can't not be any prouder of what they've done than I am right now as a parent.
Wow. Well, family has always been important to you. Now, you mentioned growing up, New York, Puerto Rico, back and forth, and your family being in Puerto Rico. After the hurricane ravaged Puerto Rico, mm-hmm. you were instrumental in bringing aid to the island. How did your public service experience help you in those efforts?
Well, you know, it's interesting because God puts you in places where you need to be at the right time. And I was there at the right time when, unfortunately, the island of Puerto Rico got ravaged by the largest hurricane in modern history that pretty much disseminated the island. Now, what was ironic is when the Maria was headed towards Puerto Rico, I was the chair of the Seminole County Legislative Delegation. At that meeting, I announced 2 days before the storm hit the island that I said the words were, guys, pray for my island because they're getting ready to be hit by the most destructive storm in history, and expect in some places power and water to be gone for a year. And everybody gasped, like, really? Because nobody could really understand how bad it was. And then somebody asked me later on, says, you made this comment, how did you know? So when you grow up in an island like this and you know what the infrastructure is and the challenges on the infrastructure, this hurricane was no joke. It was serious, and it just destroyed anything that you can imagine. And an island being so far away from the mainland, you're not going to be able to get the resources in time to help. Like it happens here in Florida, you immediately get brigades from all over the nation, and they're within, some of them are staging before the storm hits. Puerto Rico was not like that. They did not have the resources and the help that the mainland gets. So the Governor Rick Scott immediately had asked me, he started calling me as soon as the storm hit. He said, Bob, I don't think nobody in the legislature understands the island more than you. What can we do to help? And at that point, Rick Scott and I, Governor Scott, I started giving them daily updates of what things we can do here in Florida to help. And many of the things had to do with education, with children coming here without any documentation like transcripts or birth certificates that they can get enrolled in school immediately. One particular one that sticks out, Bridget, I'll tell you, this is the one that I'm proudest, is that in November, I brought up to the governor that if we did nothing, the students that were coming from Puerto Rico that were in high school would not be able to graduate in May if we did no changes. And he thought about it for a minute. He said, well, I really don't understand. Why would they not graduate? I said, you got to realize that the curriculum in Puerto Rico and the curriculum in the state of Florida do not match, and the graduation requirements would have never matched. And he looked and he's like, wow, and how many do you expect? I said, 500,000 students will probably be held back. He says, wow, that's big. What can we do? So he put me in contact with the Commissioner of Education, Pam Stewart, and we brainstormed. And for the first time, Florida and Puerto Rico Department of Education actually merged and had a conversation as to how we can solve this problem. And we did. In January, they did for the first time ever a memorandum of understanding that said the students that did not qualify to graduate with a Florida diploma would still graduate with a Puerto Rico diploma. That's the post-secondary education could and would accept here in the state of Florida, where they can continue their studies. 431 students were able to graduate that spring and move on to post-secondary education. Now, I'll tell you one more thing. This year I found out that one of those students was here in Altamont Springs. Her name is Daliani Herena. And Daliani Herena graduated from Lake Brantley High School through that way. She went on to Seminole State College. And from Seminole State College this year, she graduated and she became one of the finalists and actually received the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship that will now go on to Stetson University with all of her bachelor degrees expenses paid. And if she goes to master's, they will pay that too. Close to $80,000 or $100,000 worth of stuff for this young lady that came from Puerto Rico right after the storm. And this is why so, you know, when you see the beginnings and what you did in the middle, and then actually you see the end, it's life-changing for this young lady. But these are the things that we did back then because we knew that needed to be done. And
that is impressive. And I could imagine that is just one story of the many that you touched. So that is very incredible. Let me ask you, this is going to switch a little bit. What made you want to return to state politics?
Well, you know, when we lost the election, it was really hard. I'm not going to deny that, you know, it took the loss pretty hard, but we knew that God always had a plan. And whatever God had planned for us, we were ready and willing to accept and to move forward. And if his plan was to remain in private life, we would have done that. And I was ready and willing to continue on to there until COVID happened. When COVID started striking in March, I started seeing what effect it was doing to our community, what effect it was doing to our residents, what effect it was doing to the businesses like mine that are still till this day. We shut down March 15th, and today we are still shut down, and we're not going to be able to operate. We just received word today cruises are not going to resume till the beginning of October. So we will be shut down to the beginning of October. So all these things are having a dire effect in Florida. And it shows the need to have somebody that has been a true battle-tested legislator when it comes to things going bad or you know, hurricanes and other things that would come up with good ideas that are reasonable and would help our economy move forward. We need a person that can move this economy with leadership, that can help the governor and the legislature come out with good ideas, especially for the business community. And I knew that if I sat down and didn't do anything, I don't know if somebody else would have stepped up to do it, but then I would have wondered, what if? If I would have been able to do something, I should have and I could have, and I didn't. So I decided, you know, after talking to my wife and my family, and of course, God providing the direction, we made the decision that we cannot sit down with our arms crossed, especially when our community needs us the most. We would go out there and run again. Hopefully we will win in November, and then we can be in the legislature to bring back some good ideas and good policies that would help our residents and our businesses.
Bob, you've given us a lot of insight today. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
Well, you know, sure. This is, everybody says this is the election of the lifetime. And it always, every election cycle, you will hear that time and time again. This is the election of the lifetime. You know, a lot of things at play. You have redistricting coming up. I will encourage everybody, and this is aside from the vote, that if you have not registered with the census, please do. It is extremely important because in places like New York, they're not registering, they're going to lose representation. Florida, we register, we will actually gain representation. We will be able to gain a seat, and that seat gives us more options on the table. We're the third most populous state in the nation, followed by California and Texas. You know, we should be right up front and forward in that table. But if we don't have the representation, we can't do it. So the most important part is if you haven't registered, you and your family, with the census, it's a simple procedure. It won't take you 10 minutes. You can do it online, and it's definitely all protected. And then, you know, the other part is that we this election is important. This election is important because you will have a pro-business candidate like myself, a proven pro-business candidate like myself, who is suffering many of the things that many of the businesses are suffering right now with this COVID. And then finally, all the other experiences that I've had and gained, experience in law enforcement, and experiences of serving on the board of trustees for Seminole State College. We need leadership, and we need it now, and we need it right here. I am your leader. I am Bob Cortes, running for State House of Representative District 30. You can look it up at www.bobcortes.com or on Facebook and Twitter. I am honored to earn your support and your vote.
Thank you so much. We are here with Bob Cortes. He is running for Florida House of Representatives District 30. And I will tell you, he is one of our candidates at the Eastside Regional Hob Nob. Our virtual Eastside Regional Hob Nob is on June 30th, starting at 5:30. Do not miss that. And make sure you visit esrhobnob.com to check out our candidate one-on-one interviews and so much more. Bob, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you for having me, and God bless.
Thank you, everyone.